Hello everyone, this is Shama with Girls and Geese. We have yet another edition of Ask a Black Belt. We are super excited today. We have SoCal Women's BJJ Mats founder and amazing, phenomenal instructor as well as competitor, has a super strong women's team. We got Jill Baker out of Baker's Jiu-Jitsu. We should have her on here in a little bit. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How have you been?
Technology works so far, so that's good.
Absolutely. So, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. I kind of did a little bit of a preemptive kind of introduction, but go ahead and let everybody know a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Jill Baker. Been training about 14 years. Started training with my husband because we had a gym open already, and I just figured that if I ever wanted to see him, that I better start jiu-jitsu. So that was kind of my first 2 years, and then after that, just fell in love, started competing, and just really cannot imagine myself without jiu-jitsu now. So.
Awesome. So you are also the founder of SoCal Women's BJJ Open Mat. So tell us a little bit about that. Where did the idea come from, and what do you guys do?
I feel like Shama, we're soul sisters. We have the same mission. Mine's just a little smaller and sometimes misguided. Yours is kind of very streamlined and awesome. So SoCal Women started. I went to a tournament as a blue belt and competed against a fellow blue belt that I had never met before. But after, at tournaments, you get together with girls and you just start talking and hanging out and having building relationships with girls. And she had this idea, and she wanted to do an open mat with girls in California. She said, at my gym, we only have 2 girls. And I was like, yeah, me too. We only have 2 or 3 girls. And so she's like, well, why don't you bring your 2 or 3? We'll bring our 2 or 3, and then we'll try to get, some girls together, training together. And so our first one was, I think it was June of 2011.
Oh, wow.
Which it sounds like a crazy long time ago, but yeah. 2011, so it's almost been 10 years, and we had a whopping 20 girls on the mat, and it was back then 20 girls fully dressed in gis with belts, and everything was the hugest thing ever. And so I kind of felt like I was walking into a dream, oh my gosh, all of these girls speak my language, and they kind of have the same goals as me and the same all kinds of things that, the things that I want to do, they want to do. And so it was just a beautiful first day. And then from that point, we just started doing one a month. And we did one event a month for the first, I think, 3 years. And then we started scaling back a little bit to maybe once every 2 months or something like that. And that's where we're at now, barring the 2020 curse, But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the story on that. I'll have to give a shout out to Cecily Fishman. She was the original idea behind this whole thing, and Felicia O also, I think, was one of her coaches. So they were both involved before I was. But
Awesome.
yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, I think it's if you can't tell by what I do, I think it's super important that women and girls come together and train. I think it not only just for the opportunity to roll together, but just for the solidarity and the support. Because, like you said, back in 2011, there weren't many women, and in some areas now, still too, there are a lot of 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 1 of 1 women in their academies. And seeing as how jiu-jitsu has grown for women, sometimes we forget that there still are those women out there. So that's why I commend what you're doing, because I think it's super important for all of us.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. You as well, for sure. And yeah, it just jiu-jitsu girls, once you get them in and hooked, it's they're a different breed. And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's beautiful. Like we all are on the same page and everything's good. Like, can we just like beat each other up for a couple hours and then, go have a soda or something afterwards and everything's good. So.
Awesome. So if you guys are tuning in, this how this segment works is you can feel free to comment in. Like I said, Jill has a lot of experience as an instructor, as a competitor, as a coach, as providing these opportunities for women and girls, building a women's team. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, Jill and I are just going to keep having a conversation here, and you guys get to tune in and listen. So what has been one of the, so you also have a really strong women's team that you've built up for some time now. What are some advice that you can offer, maybe just like 101, building a women's team or with building a women's program that you can maybe give out to some of the people tuning in today that want to have that in their school?
Really, the most success that we've had is, we've had success with women from all different aspects of life, but just letting them know that it's possible. So these moms come to class and sometimes they are, they have taken themselves completely out of the equation of learning something new or doing something for themselves or anything like that. And so sometimes, they'll be sitting and watching their kids and I will like go up and encourage them to come to a women's class or just try a class for free and just see how it goes. And their face, their expression is like the first time, like me, like no, and then we push a little harder, and they get here, and they are so good because they've been watching for years. Either they've been watching their husband or they've been watching their child or whatever, and they already know like all of the terminology and all of this stuff, and their body just moves the right way. So we've had a lot of success with that. I do the women's class a little bit differently than the co-ed class that I do. We do a lot of drilling and a lot of like muscle memory movement, stuff like that, because I feel like women rely more on a routine and a structure. I feel like men can just walk into a gym and be like, hey, let's wrestle. And women aren't always down to wrestle right at first. So I've made that like adjustment, a little more cardio, a little more drilling, and a lot of instruction, and then we go from there. But we have a really solid group of girls now that are just tough and ferocious and at the same time welcoming to the new people who might be a little bit nervous or apprehensive when they're starting. So.
Do you think having a women's program or women's specific class contributes to having more women in your school? Do you think that's something that kind of leads the way into getting people into the co-ed classes?
Yeah, I think absolutely. A lot of girls will just start with the women's class and start where they feel comfortable and then learn enough that they show up like on a co-ed day. And whenever I see them, we had a group of women that were just coming to the women's class and they all showed up on a Saturday together. And it was like Saturday is like our co-ed, our big co-ed class. And they all walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, like a dream come true. And they're all rolling with the guys and doing well. And the guys sometimes will say like, whoa, like, what are you doing over there in the girls' class? So yeah, it's really rewarding, wonderful. I think that's definitely a big part of why we have so many girls on the mat is our women's class. So
absolutely, yeah. No, that's a lot of people when they ask, hey, what is what's the trick to having a good large women's program or getting more women in the academy, period? And I say, get a women's class. Do you think it's important for a woman to be teaching that class?
I was just going to say that. I think we did start a women's class maybe like a year before I started teaching it. And my husband is like a fantastic, shout out to Matt Baker. He is a great, great coach. But for some reason, it just didn't click. It just was so hard to get the women to show up and to get them to feel comfortable and to get Matt on board, speaking our language and all of that. So when I started, man, I was nervous because I was purple belt. And so it's I don't even know if I have anything to teach these people, just oh. But man, our first class, I had probably like 8 or 9 moms show up, and they were in their gis and they were all excited, and we went from there. We learned so much. So yeah, I think it definitely has to do with having a women instructor, and then just building the confidence of the women who are coming to class too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a couple questions. Otherwise, I'll just keep running. I can talk all day.
I know. I see all of my friends like, hi.
So it
I
looks like
see.
looks like there's one. It says, "Is there any diet you would recommend for teenage girls?"
Is there any what?
Like a specific diet, like a Jiu-Jitsu. You know how they have the Gracie diet, or do you think that there's a diet that maybe parents should kind of you would recommend for teenage girls?
Okay, so that's the worst question ever, and probably my daughter is watching somewhere on here, and she will laugh in my face if I tell you like just eat healthy and this and that. But I think moderation in life is the key to happiness and being okay overall. So if you're gonna have a pizza night, then make sure you follow it with a salad night and that kind of thing. You know, make sure your body's active and you're moving, and then you're giving it the food that it needs to do the things that you're asking it. So I don't go too crazy. I've done the vegetarian thing. I've done the paleo thing. I've done all kinds of different things. But what I've really learned is like calories in, calories out, and try to get at the most nutrients I can into my body so that it can, keep up with me what I'm asking it to do. So
Absolutely.
balance.
On your women's balance, I think that's the key of life.
Yes, yes.
So they had a question they're asking, is there, well, it says, can you chat a little bit about the diversity of the team, ages slash competitors versus non-competitors? I'm not sure exactly where they wanted to go with that, but I guess one of the questions I can think of is there a different way that you would coach and instruct somebody within those different demographics?
Absolutely. We have in our women's class, we have actually we have girls as young as 8, I think, that are coming to the women's class, and then all the way up to 50 something. So I'm a firm believer in like Jiu-Jitsu is for everyone. We can all make each other better no matter our strengths or weaknesses. Like if I'm rolling with an 8-year-old, I can make her better for sure, but she can also make me better. Like I can put myself in difficult positions. I can play no hands. I can do all kinds of things to challenge myself and not feel like I'm just giving up around, And so I think there's always something to do. We do have a big, probably maybe like a 50% of our women population that are competitors, and so we try to put together a game plan for them when they're getting ready for a tournament. We try to give them like mock rounds where they're doing tournament rounds. We do what we call smokers, which is just a different partner every minute, just so they're getting the crazy cardio going too. And we just try to support them, but at the same time we try to support the non-competitors as well, so that everyone feels like they are growing and getting better, because that's the main thing, not winning a medal, but just growth as a person.
Absolutely. Speaking of competition, what is one of the biggest hurdles that you've had to overcome?
Well, I have a funny story actually, just as a competition story. It was the night before nationals, and I think I was a brown belt. I was making food for my kids, and I was in the kitchen, and I made like a can of soup for one of the kids, and I threw the can in the trash can, and then like 5 minutes later went and grabbed something out of the trash can for some stupid reason. Like, never put your hand in the trash can, right? But the lid for the can of soup went all the way in, like, I don't know if you could see my hand, like between my thumb and my pointer, like right here. Oh. And got stuck in my hand, like, and I just came up like ER, take me to the ER. And so I had like some stitches that night, and then went and competed the next day, and with a big tape thing. So that was a small obstacle, but it was a funny story at least.
That hurts. I've done that before. Not in that particular like situation. But
Like we just cannot. We just have to know like we cannot reach in a trash can ever.
yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah. So so there's a lesson for the rest of you.
Someone asked, "Have you ever beat Professor Matt?" Have you ever tapped him?
Always. I beat him every day. Yeah, when we roll in class, I'm really just like letting him win. So yeah, like I tap him, I take his back all the time. So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm just kidding. No, that is my life goal actually, to tap Professor Matt. So one of these days I will get him. Yeah.
It's good to have goals.
I like that question. I see it. Can a man teach his wife without arguing? Ooh, that's a hard one. Just kidding. I think it's very possible. We've had a lot of success with husbands and wives training at our gym, and there's something to be said for like sharing a common hobby or common like practice. You know, if you're both, especially before a competition it can get really ugly if you're both competing, because then you're both hungry and you're both stressing, and the week before tournament anyway is probably the worst week of your life, but the week after is the best if you guys make it through that far. So like you climb that mountain together. So it's been really, really good, Hi Spaker, hi. That's my kid.
What is the biggest lesson that you've learned through your jiu-jitsu journey?
I think one of the biggest lessons is just to keep showing up. And jiu-jitsu can be beautiful some days and most days, and jiu-jitsu can be painful emotionally, physically, egotistically some days. And if you have a bad day, it's the next day that's going to be a good one always, and so if you just keep that in the back of your mind and just know that, if I had a bad day, it's going to get better, and I'm still learning, I'm still growing. Even if I'm losing every single round, I'm still making progress. I'm still learning life lessons, because a lot of the jiu-jitsu lessons that we learn here are not just jiu-jitsu lessons. So they're not making us good at jiu-jitsu, they're making us good at life, and that's been a thing. I'm a teacher as well. I teach kindergarten through 6th grade, but so I've always learned that lesson with that too. Like if you have a bad year, if you have a challenging year at school, like the next one always gets better. So just keep showing up, keep that dedication in your life, and you can go as far as you want to go.
Absolutely. No, I agree completely. Speaking of being a wife and an instructor and having a career, how do you have any advice for women and men that are trying to have it all? Is there any tips that you can offer?
Yeah, I think that we're meant to have it all. Like, as long as we keep it all in balance and don't over prioritize, I think that we're meant to live full lives. And so we're meant to be happy with a partner. We're meant to have kids if we choose to. We're meant to have a career that's fulfilling, and then we can have hobbies as well. Like, we do not ever have to give up everything to do one thing, and I always say, like, for jiu-jitsu people especially, when we give up everything and seek jiu-jitsu, I don't think that's a healthy balance as well, because man, when we put everything into winning a gold medal or a tournament or whatever, and it just doesn't go our way because it's a 5-minute match or a 10-minute match, that's a heartbreak that I don't want to deal with. I want to be able to walk off that mat and know that I gave it my all, but also know that, like, I have my kids at home that are healthy. I have my husband at home who's my everything. I have my job to go back to, and so I think that's the meaning of life, is to live a full and balanced life.
Absolutely.
And to eat lots of pizza.
In moderation. No.
Yeah.
Also, let me see if we have any more questions. That was such a good closing right there. No, but I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of the times when people first start jujitsu, they kind of put all their eggs in one basket, right? Because it's just like this. I've heard somebody describe it as this seductive mistress. We just get enticed by it, and it becomes our whole world. And it can let you down if that's all you have. You can't put all
Yes.
your eggs into one basket. So I think that's a really good viewpoint to have on it. So closing out, the last question that I have is, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
I think the best piece of advice in that is like something that I've already kind of pointed out, but it's just keep smiling, keep being positive, keep supporting your team, and keep showing up, you know? And that would be the only advice that I would give to anyone starting. Like, keep supporting your team, keep showing up, keep smiling, and just hug people, you know? Like, enough of this, like, staying 6 feet apart and all of this nonsense. Like, go out and love people, whether you're on the mat or off the mat or whatever. Like, be a positive to people's life, and just enjoy the ride for what it is, you know. Yay, Debbie, you're my favorite Canadian for sure.
Oh, it was such a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for dropping those wisdom on us today. It was really awesome to be able to talk with you. You're somebody that I very much respect. Anybody who tries to get out there and provide these opportunities and support women in jiu-jitsu, I know how hard it is. I know how much energy goes into it. So I applaud your efforts, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do once all of this is hopefully over in some time.
So, yes, and good luck to you as well, Shama. Thank you so much for having me on. It was fun.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it again. You take care.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Take care. See you guys next time.
Yep.